Requires due dependence on the people and due responsibility. Remember that term, due responsibility. Because we're going to talk about how this thing swings out of balance, because it does. You know, they created a dynamic system, right? A system whereby you have powers going against each other. Madison did not expect honorable behavior all the time, most of the time. My name is Douglas McKenzie. I'm a PhD candidate in political science at Kent State University. I'm going to be graduating in August 2014, and I'm applying for a job as a teaching faculty member. And what I loved about teaching was my opportunity to interact with these students, and you know, with that interaction, realize the things they did really, really well, identify these things. A lot of times they didn't even know it themselves, and to point that out to them and to help them develop those strengths. That to me has always been a great passion. And the best place to do it is education, because that's why kids are here. They want to take what they want to prepare to be great in their lives, you know, and that's something I have a real passion for. I tell my students, you know, I'm here to make you great. The idea being, if you have one person operating, there's speed, there's dispatch. That's what Hamilton referred to as dispatch, speed in the executive. If you have one person, what else are you going to get with one person? Okay, you're in control. Rocco, you're in control. Now, if you're in control of the situation, you can speed, you can act fast, right? What else can you do if you're in control? Yeah, basically, you can make decisions, can't you? You got the authority. Rocco's exactly right. He's got authority. He wants to make a decision, he can make it, like right now. The other thing is I love to communicate. I love to talk. I love to expound. I love politics. I love political theory. I think it's just it's a beautiful thing. And to me, talking to people about political theory and applying political theory and interpreting the day's events or interpreting great events in history or political wrangling between the presidency and the legislative branch, to me is that's great. It's grand drama, and it's like, for me, it's like it's very easy to talk about to my students, and even more so to engage them with it. You know, to challenge them and try to, you know, so what do you think about this? Here's the theory, here's how it's applied, and wow, here's what it looks like when it's actually happening. What about secrecy? What about secrecy? You got one person, is secrecy possible? Absolutely. Right? If you're working on your own, you can say, okay, if I want to do something before, you know, say there's a situation where you want to get something done, and you know if there's visibility, people may question it. Now, they may not have really authority to question it, but nonetheless, that's going to slow me down, right? It's going to slow me down, right? So there's an opportunity for secrecy with one person. And this is what Hamilton said. Wait, the executive is supposed to be able to operate in a secret fashion. Does that sound like a framer? We want to give this guy secrecy? But he said if you have unity, you can have secrecy in foreign affairs. Sometimes you don't want everybody knowing what's going on, right? Because there may be interest. Okay, if you're running a treaty with France and England doesn't like France right now, you don't want England to find out about it, right? I love that interaction in class. If I could develop any kind of a class kind of a environment, it would be like the old salons that they used to have in 19th century and early 20th century Europe, where, you know, great minds would come together and artists would come together and they would talk about great things. And that's the kind of environment I try to encourage in my classes. That's kind of circuitous, isn't it? But that's the document, and that's what happens when we go to war. He is or she is a dictator. Okay? This is what Hamilton said in Federalist 70. He compared the actions of the president in a wartime situation to a Roman dictator. And if he's going to defend the Constitution of the United States, Lincoln, who's respected as probably the best president we ever had, said, I will break the law and violate the Constitution to save it. I had one of my students, Mary, came up to me in class, and she wants to go to grad school. And she's got an essay that she did in my class last semester that was quite good. She wanted to submit that for consideration for an MPA program. And she wanted a letter of recommendation. And it just is thrilling to see that. You know, Mary was a student of mine first. I think she's been in like 3 of my classes now. And, you know, when she first came into my classes, she seemed a little unsure of herself. But what became very evident very quickly was she was very talented, she was very insightful, and she was a very good writer. And she didn't know it. That was the funny thing, is she didn't really know how good she was. I said, look, Mary, you got some really good stuff here. And I coached her on developing good rhetorical style in her writing, and it was tremendously satisfying to see her develop. I mean, this is a woman who has a great skill with writing, and she didn't know it. And you know, I was able to help her realize what she had, first as a talent, help her to develop it to a professional level. And now she wants to go on to get an MPA. She wants to be a grant writer, which I think would be a wonderful thing for her to do. I encourage her to go into grant writing because I think she'd be very good at it. You know, it may sound kind of corny, but I guess I kind of envision myself as the catcher in the rye, you know, from Salinger's novel. I'm the guy. I'm the catcher in the rye. That's if I could say, you know, any part of me about my professional career as a teacher, if anybody could give a you know, a description of that after I'm done, that would be it. I was a catcher in the rye, and that's really what I guess I aspire to be.